Right. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Mars has already been conjunct this Jupiter Uranus midpoint. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. This is G. We're going to talk about the week of July 22nd. All right. So let's get to this chart. It's the 22nd, following 5 days. Oh, other piece of business. I already recorded this video. You don't know it. And I didn't know it either. I recorded it, yet the damn thing wasn't recording. So I already talked about it, which means I already marked the chart up heavily. This is a busy week. Let me show you a little bit. There's what that looks like when I back it up. Busy. I don't have all the lines drawn. There's a lot of little things, and there's a big behind-the-scenes story. And so the first thing you see in this chart is this red great cross. You see the big, I should say the great square. I'll outline it. There's really so many little nuggets, truly a shitload of little things making connections this week. Lots of connections, lots of planets. And some of these planets haven't really been in conversation, especially some of, when we talk about some of the fixed stars or some of the asteroids, some things that are considered minor bodies. In particular, Isis. That's the symbol for Isis right there. The steps. Yeah, I think that's the steps like leading to the Nile River, up from the Nile River. Right, this is an Egyptian goddess. Egyptian goddess known to be the mother of gods. Powerful energy, strong energy to regroup, to organize, especially if there's been a destruction or possibly even a death. It's got like this, not Pisces, but the Scorpio energy to it, this way to transform. The cool thing about Isis, I think, it is feminine energy, but it is about restructuring and organizing, which is fascinating because it's in Capricorn, which is also about structuring and organizing. So we think compartmentalizing. I have rules. When you go into your kitchen or your bathroom, or even maybe in your bedroom, especially women with their jewelry, they've got these little things. Okay, my rings are held here, and my earrings are here. Like there's little compartments, right? It keeps the shit organized. You have a lot of something, it keeps it structured and organized. And usually those things are material and tangible and physical, hard, right? Something that's going to last a while. That's all Capricorn stuff, Capricorn keywords. Okay, something that's built to last a very long time. So Isis is here restructuring government, business, corporations. This is a big deal. Here in the U.S., we have an election. We have an election coming up. And so there's usually a lot of conversations with CEOs, with people who are in politics, because it's that whole, you wash mine and I'll wash yours type of thing. I got your back, you got mine type of stuff. And so we see Isis is here actually supporting that. We're going to get further into that a little bit later in the video, because Isis will come up again right at the beginning of this week. You see I have this fixed cross, fixed square. And so you have a great square or a great cross. Same thing, right? But they're in fixed signs. Okay, so let's go take a look at that. That's the big thing that I outlined in black at the beginning of the video. Now we're going to look at the nitty-gritty detail of it. This is fast. It's 0 degrees in Leo. It's the sun in Leo. The sun rules energy of Leo. This is all about willpower. This is all about people who are in power, someone who wants to be in the spotlight, someone who is in the spotlight, someone who perhaps thinks they are a king and the ruler of you, the ruler over you. That's extreme energy. And that's the sun. I'm the boss. It can be the father figure. We think of the household. Who runs the household? Who's the head person in charge? Who's the head person in charge of the business, right? Leo energy has a lot of different keywords to it. It can be quite theatrical and very dramatic. Sometimes these people show up as actors and performers, singers, people who got that voice, right? People who aren't afraid to use their voice, people who are quite courageous and very risky, usually quite risky. Right? Think of child energy. We think of childhood also with Leo energy, having fun, laughter, comedy, got to have a good time, the class clown even, right? Clowns associated with the Leo energy, the entertainer. And some, other than being the clown, you can also be the ringmaster. because the spotlight is on you and you are performing. You've got that voice and you're using it, right? And athletics, very athletic energy too, sports, we think, and even betting and gambling, all Leo energy. 0 degrees is where the sun is at. This is quick. The sun moves really fast. So that means the day before the sun would have been at critical degrees in Cancer. That would have been on just yesterday, Sunday, right? So critical degrees. Usually we hear about something anytime planets that are significant are at critical degrees. And 29 degrees of Cancer is usually considered a very prominent position if you've got something there, because Cancer energy is the public, the grand world stage. Not only the grand world stage, but the public is usually really drawn to this person, or this person has immersed themselves with the public. This person, there's something about them where the public is very familiar and possibly comfortable or drawn to. There would likely is a connection to history and the past. Even if we don't know about it, we think of soul memory and soul history and those connections, and people having that vibe, that like I vibe with them. They're my tribe type of energy, because we don't intellectually connect, but there's like this resonating factor where we connect. And so that's powerful when the sun is at 29 degrees, or any planet, but a person in charge, somebody in the spotlight, is the sun. Okay. So then it goes to the 0 degrees of Leo. And at 29 and at 0 degrees of Leo, it is part of this fixed, it's part of this cross energy. It's part of the stress and the tension. So it goes 29 degrees of Cancer, 0 degrees of Leo, to 0 degrees of Scorpio. That's Huma, Hawaiian goddess of restoring after something's been destroyed, after something's been dismantled, possibly earth events, possibly weather events. She's known to come in, and where there's been destruction or fire, you will see regrowth. You will see blooms. You will get vegetation. You will be able to do something productive and live off of the land yet again. Like the land will be there to support. She brings harmony back to the land, and she is also that strong or I keep wanting to say Pisces, that strong Scorpio energy of I am changing and transforming something, right? And so Humea has been here for a while. Connected with Scorpio energy, we think shared resources, the natural resources even of the planet. When we think Scorpio, we think the oil industry, we think the treasures below the earth surface, things that you have to drill for. Ooh, interesting, right? Yep. Aquarius, the next fixed sign that is part. Pluto is back at 0 degrees here because it's in a retrograde. It's now at 0, and it's part of this great cross, this great grand fixed cross, this great grand fixed square in the chart. All right. So Aquarius is group energy. We think unions, we think friends, we think social causes, humanitarians. We think of doing the right thing and civil liberties. And, this is networking on a global scale. So we see how, when certain political government heads of state head over to other countries and talk to those heads of state, we see, or even their CEOs and their corporations, we see how this global connecting, global trying to work together, really diplomacy in general, and how the whole, yeah, how that can get fuzzy real fast for us who are just living in our own little part of the world, and we're like, oh my God, I don't want to know about all that. And so it is world events, world affairs, Aquarius energy. So this is also alternative energy. It's Aquarius. It's different. It's unique. It's never been done before. Or if it's done, but if it has been done before, it's been a long time since it's been done. Like it's time to revisit it. It's not part of tradition. That's the thing about this energy. Keep in mind the co-rulers. We have Uranus, right? Different and shocks and surprises. It's in Taurus right now. So we should expect that our traditional values, things that give us comfort, things that have always given us comfort, Uranus has been there to completely upset us over, right? So it's been a challenge. whether it's how I make money, whether it's our food and our water, the planet and the earth herself, Taurus energy, creature comforts, disruptions with all of that. So disruptive energy is also the technology. This is technology. Pluto is here. Pluto is about power, but power with purpose. And Pluto demands that for the power that I give you, you act in an ethical way. If you act in a way where it's about me, and my power, and I have power over you, power over the people, there will be a problem, which is why Pluto is retrograding back to 29, 28 degrees of Capricorn. It has to go back to finish what it started, which was holding those accountable who were in power in government and possibly CEOs, holding those people in power and holding them accountable. That's what Pluto started a couple of years ago. Right. So there's a story here. All right. So we go over to the other part of this great cross, and looky, what do we got here? Right here is Hygeia. She is now at 3, right? So the sun is going to continue to square Hygeia because the sun moves 1 degree a day. And we saw at the beginning of the week, it was at 0. So Hygeia is here. Hygeia gives us a report card. What is the report card about? About the sign that it's in. That's how we know, right? So it's Hygeia giving us a report card about our values, about our money, possibly about our banking, because we think banking and farming. When we look at Taurus energy, it's got a lot of other keywords too, by the way, your values, your love, who you value, what you value, your income, how you receive, how you feel valued, your self-worth, lots of keywords with Taurus energy. Okay. So it's a report card on that. It's like, do you really value you? In what ways do you value yourself? Right. And so this is what we're looking at. Of course, the earth, it's Taurus, it's earth. So the planet and her health, the health of the planet. This is conjunct a midpoint, right? And look, we have a midpoint between Jupiter and Saturn. So whenever you mix Jupiter and Saturn together, there is a great reorganization that goes on. There can be rules and structure and order and restriction because Jupiter enhances something, and it will be based on our values. Okay. Now, you already heard me talk about reordering and structuring, right? Yeah, because I talked about Isis at the beginning of the video. Now, there's support for this regrouping and ordering and restructuring because of this point in Earth. And I showed you where Isis was in Capricorn, an Earth sign. So even though this is part of this great cross at the beginning of the week, right? And this great cross at the beginning of the week includes Pluto. So this is really a big deal. And we might feel it on the Sunday and even possibly the Saturday because of the sun and because the T-square between these slower movers is always going to be here because it's not fast. The T-square between Scorpio energy up there at 0, the Huma, and this midpoint, and with Pluto. You see, this would have been a T-square that was already in place. And then the sun came along and made it a great cross. Okay. So at the same time we got that great cross, that's where Isis comes in. And she's retrograding. You see the red? So she's headed back. She goes backwards with the number in red. So she's heading back. So this is going to be a strong trine with Isis. And I have that blue line drawn in for that reason right there. There's a strong trine between Isis and that midpoint of Saturn and Jupiter. It's a restructuring. It's in astrology, whenever Saturn and Jupiter are together, they termed it the Great Conjunction, right? And it was like, okay, so what's going on? Well, we're switching things up. We're taking something that had been old, that had been around for a while, that had always been the same old, the same old rules. And all of a sudden there's like these new rules, or possibly rules that have been around but haven't been used. And all of a sudden we're implementing them again. Like that's Saturn energy. And then when Jupiter comes online with Saturn, it expands upon that. Okay. It's in Taurus. So we think banking too. We have the 23rd, very next day, Mercury is at 29. So this means Mercury would have been at 28, 27 while this was all going on. And that would have been Mercury at 27, 28 in the sign of Leo. Because here she is on the 23rd at a critical degree. See, to me, chances are we already, come this Monday, like there could still be some news that's shocking and surprising because it's Mercury at 29 degrees in Leo about somebody in charge, right? Somebody who thinks they rule over us or who wants to rule over us. And I say this cautiously because globally in the world now, we are seeing, because of Pluto, I've mentioned it to you guys before, Pluto energy is about individuality and power and my independence and freedom. But it is also, it gives power to that, right? It gives power to unions, power to organizing, right? But it also gives power to authoritarians and those who believe that if I can rule over you and if I can convince you that while I'm ruling over you, it's really in your best interest, right? Pluto gives it. You remember, it's just energy. It just is. The difference is, have we developed our minds enough to see through that bullshit? You see? So if you've got anybody who's talking about, well, whatever it is they're talking about, at the end of the day, you got to see how are they structured? Are they looking out for the regular people? Extreme energy, anytime you got Mercury at 29. Mercury's the news and information and coworkers, right? It's the markets. We think of housing market, we think of the stock market, it's the markets. Mercury is the details and the data. Pay attention, right? Then we go to the 26th. I have all this, if I back up a little bit, I have all of that linked together because I feel like it's all going to be combined within the first couple of days of this week. I have it 22nd, 23rd, all the way to the 26th, right? I feel like it's all going to function and be wrapped up because it's all layered up and happening simultaneously. You see? So with this all in play, Mercury comes up again because at 29, that means the next day, the 24th, 25th, 26th, Mercury is now at at 0 degrees in Virgo. Earth. I talked about Earth already, didn't I? Mercury conjunct Regulus in Virgo. You see? Mercury will get there and be at 0 degrees with Virgo. Now, before I go further, I have a couple of arrows drawn here, right? There's a couple of arrows, and those arrows represent Mercury's redo zone. Yes, that means Mercury, while all this was going on, Mercury was already sitting in and traveling through a redo zone, which means Mercury's going to travel back to this area. And there's going to be more news about something that we already went through, something we already went over, right? So Mercury has a retrograde coming up. Right. It's not this week, but we are in the shadow zone. As soon as Mercury had hit 21 degrees of Leo, she was in the shadow zone already, which means it's the redo zone, which is why you see arrows. You see one blue arrow going forward from 21 degrees and on, then a black line at 4 degrees of Virgo. Mercury goes back to 21, and then eventually she'll go forward again to 4 degrees Virgo. That's the astrology. I know it's like whiplash astrology whenever there's a Mercury retrograde and I got to show it on a chart. But that's to give us some context of the bigger picture. Virgo is health. Virgo is day-to-day routines. It is jobs reports, because it's the details, maybe the tasks at your job. We think of the to-do lists, right? We think of domestic life. So we think of the service industry, the silent workers, the ones that the countries could not function on because it's all about the necessities of life, bathing, to be healthy and to function. Before we can get out into the world and show up as a professional, Capricorn energy, the vital Virgo energy is key. So we think of those people who are within the different services of our industries, right? The service industry in general. Like you think of all the different faces that show up. the different faces that you meet each day, people whose names you may not know of, people you may dependent on, the staff, wherever you frequent, right? The staff, wherever you frequent, someone who makes your smoothie or your coffee, or who brings you your food, someone who's in the kitchen making that food, someone who's out in the fields picking that damn food. This includes those people who are there when family is not there. So definitely jobs and the job for some folks. This is trine energy. Trine energy to Isis. There's a big trine here. It's Mercury trining the galactic center, and then Mercury goes into Virgo. Now, the galactic center is a point of need, and we think about Saggy energy. It's a need. I need to believe in something. What do you need to believe in, right? Lots of different faiths, right? Lots of different faiths out there, lots of different faiths. And so I believe Mercury loves diversity. Mercury loves the freedom of choice. Mercury wants options, wants to be in a position where it has options to make its own decision. That is Mercury energy, Mercury in the fire, trining Saggy energy, honoring all faiths and religions, honoring even if you don't have a religion, if you don't believe in that sort of thing, if that doesn't work for you, what is it that you believe in? And then possibly Mercury coming to the realization some of the most ethical, awesome, amazing people, kindest people in the world are the ones who don't believe in a religion. Think about that. Some folks, that would knock them off their damn rocker. They'd be like, how can that be? Right? That is the vast thing about humanity. Good and bad eggs, good and bad apples in every basket. That's just the way it works. So this energy, there's a lot of trines and a lot of squares. We're seeing there's just a mixture of things happening in the news. Things with corporations and business and government, and likely ideas and plans for going forward. That right there should have explained a lot of the marks you see on this crazy chart. Let's go to the dates now. We're going to the 27th through the 29th. Now we have Mercury squaring Mars, and we also have Mars squaring Black Moon Lilith. Okay, that's not all. 27th to the 29th, we have Venus squaring Pallas Athena and the two Sapphos. Okay, so that's all in here. That's all drawn in. Now, Mercury going to be squaring Mars for a very short time. It's only while Mercury is in Virgo. Those dates, that's Virgo energy squaring Gemini. Yeah, Virgo squaring Gemini. And that's from the 27th to the 29th. And so that's the first 4 degrees of Gemini and the first 4 degrees of Virgo. And if you have anything in Saggy between 0 and 4 degrees, you'll be feeling Mercury squaring you there. And then so the opposition would be Pisces. Mercury would be at Pisces between 0 and 4 for the opposition of like a push-pull energy, like a tug of war even, being torn between having two decisions, two choices, two options, and feeling like, okay, should I go do that or should I go do this? Mercury is the great multitasker. So yeah, you'll manage. Square to Mars. I've got it drawn in. Mars and Mercury squaring. This can be combative communication because it's Mars and Gemini. Mars likes to be fiery. Mars likes to fight, right? Mars isn't real fast. By the end of the week, Mars ends up here. Okay, so it only moves 5 degrees in 7 days. Conjunct this point, the 4 degrees point, this Jupiter Uranus midpoint. Remember, Uranus likes to bring shocks and surprises. It's information, it's communication, something you're learning about, possibly even somebody older or history connected in some way is possible. Family, home, and women. Mars will be conjunct. So some people might be more active at this time, might even be texting and sharing, vlogging, because Mars takes action wherever it goes. Social media might not be the best place to be hanging out. It might be a lot of fiery words. That's a possibility. For some of us, it might happen stronger because we might have objects between 0 and 4 in Virgo and in Saggy and in Gemini. And that creates a big T-square. And that's uncomfortable, stress, and tension. So Mars is combative words. Mars in Gemini is also, the neighborhood gets really busy. Farmer markets kick up. You start going to the farmers markets. You may start even taking action with shopping and going to the markets, Gemini, but learning, online learning. We think of moving and being physical. Gemini energy, people talking and a lot of this going on. Like I'm talking and I got to just like move my hands when I talk for the sake of moving my hands, right? You ever see people do this? And I know I'm a big hand talker. I've been trying to work on keeping the hands. Well, usually they're busy with the keyboard and drawing. So that's helped. I know a lot of people find it annoying, but I'm very expressive with my hands when I speak. So let's go see where Black Moon Lilith is. There she is, 11 degrees. So what this means is that this Black Moon Lilith is retrograding, which we see here. Big retrograde with Black Moon Lilith. Let me get her drawn in. She's kind of hidden by a line that I previously drew in way back. But because she's retrograding, that means her and Mars will square up. So this is Gemini and Virgo energy again, combative energy possibly. You might feel something with your health too, in your gut. It doesn't have to be huge. But if you notice anything, it's because you got Mars squaring Virgo energy, Virgo health and gut. Virgo, by the way, is also pets, in case I forgot to mention domestic pets. Okay. Keep that in mind for some of you. So Venus, now we got Venus. We're going to look at Venus here. She is squaring Pallas Athena, 27th through the 29th again. So a lot of squares. Venus is being squared and Mars is being squared between the 27th and the 29th. Mars is war, Venus is peace. So they're both being angled. They're both being stressed, tension, and challenged. Okay. Venus is being squared by feminine energies, other feminine energies. Pretty important. So think about that, especially, if you've got siblings or neighbors or coworkers, significant women in your life, mom energy, sisters, whatever that is, there's some stress and tension here. Okay. So that is between the 27th and the 29th as well, right? Venus will be sitting in fiery, feisty Leo. So it's a fixed stress and tension. Pallas Athena over here, the two Venuses, Mars rules them. That's why you see Mars there. Yeah, Mars rules not them, but Mars, my mistake. Mars rules Scorpio. So you got Mars here for that reason. So these are combative. They were born for war type of energy, right? They've got like that mindset. They came to fight, but they're strategists. They understand what's at stake and they're not going to back down. So Venus over here in Leo, well, she's more of like on the play side. She's not a very serious Venus here. This Venus is more about shopping and entertainment and laughter. She can be a little silly when it comes to love. She's more about romance and mating, having a good time with a significant other or one nighter, whatever. Like that's who this Venus is. So just keep these things in mind. Okay. You got one Venus who's not real. She's not using her brain. She's using a different part of her body, possibly. And another Venus, these two Venuses, the Sappho, the two Venuses, who are pretty smart and savvy and who have a plan. And it doesn't mean that they're evil. It just means, and plus, they've been here for a long time, folks. Like they have been here for months and months and months, all of 2024 so far. So these two they're not, playing games. They're serious. You follow? So that's just a temporary square. All right. And the Mercury shadow zone, which I already talked about, but you see me, I've got it written down there in the corner. That's between 21 and 4 degrees, 21 degrees of Leo, 4 degrees of Virgo. It's a redo. Decisions, choices, and options will have to be made. For some of you, if you've got things at those degrees in your chart, you know what I'm talking about, right? Overall, it's really interesting this week. I think there's a lot in the news. I think there's a lot on social media. I think there might be a lot of information that we're hearing about that we feel might challenge our beliefs or what we used to think. And I would say to take a look at anything that challenges your beliefs. Take a look at anything that challenges what you used to believe. Take a look at it, but look at it in an honest way, not like a quick look and then forget it, but just, the energy of Gemini is, can we learn to get along? Can we learn to be objective and to understand that everybody has a right to their opinion? The difference is, how is that opinion shared, right? Which way do you go about the opinion? And am I forcing my opinion or even my beliefs on someone else? My truth does not have to be your truth. And if my truth intersects into your life in a way where it puts you in danger, if it intersects in your life in a way where it is going against the rules that we have agreed to live by within our society, then that is also a problem. There's just some plain basic common sense when we talk about our Gemini energy. All right. And so remember the humanity, that is what binds us, right? Together, we're better. Thank you for your time. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.